Noise is a fact of life we cannot ignore. Noise can damage your hearing permanently. That's why it's important to protect your hearing at work, home, and during your leisure activities. Today we want to examine some of the things you already know about hearing conservation and possibly a few new things for you to consider. Awareness of the hazard is the first step at preventing injury, and damage to your hearing is serious business. First, let's look at a three-part hearing conservation program that centers around you: testing, training, protection. You'll notice the you part is the major portion of the program. Without your help and your effort, the program is not going to work. If you have an area or situation at work where noise is above OSHA levels, employees working in and around that area will be provided hearing tests. This is to determine how well you hear, or what is known as your baseline. You will be tested annually to see if this baseline has changed significantly. To determine the noise levels in the workplace, testing is done with a sound level meter or with a clip on a dosimeter that records the noise levels. Sometimes engineering controls can reduce your noise level exposure, but when they can't, hearing protection must be used. The hearing test to determine how well you hear is done in a sound booth and conducted by medical personnel or audiologists. Now we come to the training portion of the program. Part of this program is listening and watching this video. It's not the only training you'll receive, but the more you know about hearing, the better you'll be able to avoid hearing loss. The outer ear concentrates sound waves and channels them through the eardrum to the middle ear. Tiny bones convert these sound waves to mechanical vibrations. There are thousands of hair cells in the inner ear that translate these vibrations into electrical impulses, which are then transmitted to the brain for interpretation and action. Let's say this another way. When you put your hand to your ear to hear better, you're actually duplicating the function of the external ear. The sound travels down the ear canal and strikes the eardrum, causing it to vibrate. The eardrum vibrates in response to the sound waves that strike it. The vibration or motion is transmitted across the air-filled middle ear cavity to a fluid in the delicate inner ear. This creates waves in the inner ear fluid that stimulate microscopic hair cells. This generates nerve impulses, which pass along the auditory nerve to the brain. Certainly, we don't expect you to remember all this, but the important part is the hearing process is extremely complicated and delicate. Many things can damage your hearing. One of the more common causes of hearing loss is exposure to high noise levels, which damage the tiny and fragile hair cells. When these hairs are damaged, they bend over like grass that has been stepped on. Eventually, they straighten back up, but frequent exposure causes these cells to be permanently damaged. Some cells naturally die off with age and other types of damage. You may be able to grow hair on a bald head or have a hair transplant, but you can't replace those tiny hair cells in your ear. You may have noticed a temporary loss of hearing after you leave a noisy area. After a while, usually about 14 hours, you regain your hearing. It could be that it takes that amount of time for your hair cells to straighten up if they weren't permanently damaged. The extent of the hearing loss depends on the intensity or loudness of the exposure and for the length of time you are exposed. Sometimes sudden single exposures to very high noise levels, such as a gunshot, are sufficient for permanent hearing loss. To make a long story short, you are the person that makes the decision to protect your hearing. Now, before you run out and buy earplugs for yourself and your family, the first step is to see how to reduce noise levels. Mufflers on motorcycles and trucks, noise suppressors on breakers and compressors, these can help reduce noise. Loose parts on vibrating equipment may need to be tightened or replaced. If it's loud, you need to check to see how loud it is and to take action to bring the noise level down to a safe level. The sound level meter gives you a fairly good indication of the actual level of noise you're measuring. Let's listen to some music being measured. The microphone was near the speaker for demonstration purposes. The meter fluctuates quite a bit, according to the level of the noise. You've all heard loud music, but perhaps you didn't think about the music damaging your hearing. If you're listening to heavy metal, perhaps it would be a good idea to wear earplugs. You can still hear the music, only it won't be so loud. Okay, you've got the idea. Now it's hearing protection time. Sooner or later, you'll be required to wear some type of hearing protection. So, what's the best choice, and what's the kind of protection that won't be a pain in the ear to wear? Well, let's take a look. Cotton does not work at all. Those of you that have been in the military in the 50s, 60s, or 70s know that cotton was issued at the firing ranges. Stick a little cotton in your ear and shoot a big gun or pistol. No problem. It didn't do you any good, and you're probably a little hard of hearing for it. The macho guys stuck empty shell casings in their ear. That didn't do any good either. It may have looked or felt okay at the time, but you were damaging your hearing. When you talk to people in the artillery, speak up so they can hear what you're saying. There is a wide variety of hearing protection available in today's workplace and for home use. Canal caps cover the ear canal to keep noise out. Soft plugs are placed into the ear canal, blocking out noise. Custom plugs are molded to the exact fit of your ear. Earmuffs are placed over the ear to block out noise. But glasses and the motion caused by chewing gum can allow noise to leak in through gaps. Again, there is a wide variety of approved hearing protection. Each organization selects the type that best protects and fits your work situation. To wear the soft plugs, roll the plug in your fingers. Gently pull up on your ear and slide the plug into the canal. The plug will expand and block out unwanted noise or sound. Keep your hearing protection clean. Wash your hands before inserting anything into your ear. And, oh yes, don't use cotton swabs to clean out the inside of your ear. All you're doing is pushing wax deeper into the ear and eventually will cause a problem or infection. Consult with your medical personnel for the proper method of cleaning earwax. Naturally, if earplugs you use become damaged or dirty, get new ones. Reusable plugs can usually be worn safely for about 1 to 6 months, but they must be kept clean. Inspect them for damage and store them in the case provided. Earmuffs should also be inspected and cleaned often. Check the cushions for cracking, cuts, or stiffness. Do not modify your muffs in any manner. How about radio headphones as hearing protection? They do not provide any protection at all and should never be used while at work. The noise is distracting from your job, and they offer no hearing protection. When is hearing protection required? Hearing protectors are required when the noise level reaches 85 decibels or more. You make the decibel determination by measuring the noise with a sound level meter. You can also use a crude rule of thumb measurement. If you have to raise your voice to talk to people standing about 3 feet away, you should wear hearing protection. Your organization measures noise levels and will make recommendations or regulations when to use hearing protection. Remember the 3-part program graphic shown earlier? Testing, training, protection? You were right in the middle of the graphic. That's because you are the person that makes the decision to protect your hearing. Your organization can provide the testing, the training, the protection, but you are the only person that makes the program work by wearing hearing protection when it's required. Don't wait until it's too late to think about your hearing. Hearing aids can help. but they are not the answer to the problem. Prevention is the best medicine, and all it takes is you to prevent hearing loss. Listen to the following tones. Tone number 1. Tone number 2. Tone number 3. Tone number 4. Tone number 5. Any difficulty with any of those tones? This isn't a hearing test, but if you had difficulty on any of the tones, you could be headed for a potential problem.